Hello from feudal Japan. Stronghold marketing man Nick here from Firefly Studios with a new Features Spotlight Dev Diary. In case you've been living under a strategy gaming shaped rock for the past year or so, our feature spotlights are designed to highlight areas of simulation, base building, and economic gameplay, rather than the more traditional combat found in your typical RTS. So while in recent videos we've revealed everything from gunpowder fueled siege weapons to the varied soldiers of our different nations, today we're focused on something they all have in common: castles. Warlords will feature a variety of different AI and player-built castles. In order to defend your economy, industry, and indeed peasants from enemy attack, you'll be required to set up defences and traps for luring in any of those would-be conquerors. As with other areas of gameplay, we're trying to strike a balance between classic Stronghold defences and new Far East-inspired traps. So let's get to it. Here are 5 unique defences you can customise your castle with from September 29th. During the development of Warlords, we've explored the history of gunpowder here on our YouTube channel. So today we're going to be talking about what it will mean for gameplay. The Stronghold series has an almost 20-year history with fire. From lightable pitch in Crusader and burning logs in Stronghold 2, to carts loaded with flammable hay bales and more, we definitely understand that fire is fun. At least in video games. Not in real life.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Fire!
Everybody stay calm!
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm!
While the ability to set and spread fires was only added a week before we shipped the original Stronghold,
we could and did throw things in. So, for example, we decided we didn't have fire in the game until literally about 3 weeks beforehand, and we just thought, let's put a fire in the game, so that'd be really cool.
it has since become a series staple, and for good reason. Fire can, of course, disrupt castle economies, burn down farmland, take out dangerous siege weapons, cut off an enemy's retreat, or, without getting too descriptive here, cook heavily armoured troops alive. In Warlords, gunpowder comes in 2 forms: the gunpowder stash and trail. As you can imagine, these are designed to work in tandem with each other. However, they also have their own quirks and uses separately. The gunpowder stash is essentially a medieval proximity mine. Pots of heavily volatile gunpowder stashed not so secretly below the ground, stashes will explode on contact with enemy units, throwing them into the air, dealing area damage, and lighting the surrounding terrain on fire. Stashes can be used in a variety of different ways. The knockback, for example, is a great way to halt an enemy attack. Area damage can also be used to soften up or outright defeat tightly packed formations of lightly armoured troops. The explosion itself can be a powerful tool for taking out siege weapons like siege towers and laddermen, before they can get close enough to dock with your castle walls. So the next time an enemy breaks through that gap in your defences and their forces make for the breach, why not greet them with a warm, gunpowder-fueled welcome? Another effect we wanted to capture in Warlords is the burning trail effect of gunpowder. So in Warlords we've added gunpowder trails, a tool for timing the explosion of gunpowder-fueled contraptions in the game, including, but not limited to, gunpowder stashes. Trails can be chained together in whatever configuration you want. Surround your walls like a moat, have them in a grid across your castle, it's really up to you.
What shall we destroy next?
When ignited at any point along their path, the trail will begin to burn quickly in both directions, and it cannot be stopped. The most obvious effect is that any gunpowder stash will be set off along its path, either resulting in a chain reaction of explosions or timed detonations planned as part of your siege defences. Just be a little careful with any adjacent siege equipment, as the trail can and will activate any nearby fire oxen or rocket launchers. The burning trail itself can of course be used to block off enemy attacking routes or prevent hasty retreats, by dissuading troops from diving into the fire as your last line of defence. Man, remember when Game of Thrones was still good? Speaking of last lines of defence, you know how in some thriller movies the main character will have a kill switch for their apartment? Something that burns down their home and all incriminating evidence? Well, in Warlords you can basically do that with your castle. Using gunpowder trails, you could choose to burn down your economy, or a small section of it, in order to win the overall battle, with the ability for a live trail to trigger the explosion of not only gunpowder stashes, but also gunpowder workshops. So if all else fails, just remember, you can always burn it all down and start again, just like in real life. Like the classic Stronghold war dogs, Warlords Tiger is an automated unit that will break free of its cage and attack any enemies that come within range. As an apex predator, the caged tiger doesn't stay caged for long, and will activate by proximity just like the gunpowder stash. The main difference here being that the tiger won't explode once activated. At least, we don't think it will. Maybe that should be an update. Or an Easter egg? Being a single large animal, as opposed to a pack of rabid dogs, the tiger is more about lunging into a single powerful enemy soldier, rather than dealing with a squad of enemies. As such, the tiger is ideal for shutting down important enemy units that provide area of effect buffs like the Imperial, Bannerman, or even the General. Slightly controversially for a Stronghold game, Warlords will be the first title in this series to include an automated defense in the form of the Arrow Turret. A small wooden tower manned with a handful of archers inside, firing medieval style from the arrow slits. The turret attaches to the top of stone walls and automatically fires arrows at nearby targets. While it lacks the punch and indeed range of a proper tower filled with archers, the turret is far less costly to set up, or replace if destroyed. It's also a favourite for your Warlords, featuring in castle designs for the turtle and others when upgrading them and improving their defences. Like most wooden defences, it's a great early game option. Best used before you have a steady supply of stone and peasants to go fully old school and cram as many archers as humanly possible into your favourite tower. Yeah, we'll do it. Sometimes the most unassuming defences can make or break a siege. The humble barricade is an understated but important addition to your siege sandbox. Simple wooden defences designed to protect your soldiers from missile fire and siege weapons, barricades can be used either as an early game perimeter of defence, or as a second outer wall. Use them to protect troops outside your castle walls who are preparing for a siege, but who aren't keen on taking that first volley of rocks and arrows. Best used dotted around your base, barricades are designed to provide protection while still allowing troops to charge through and face the enemy head on. Alternatively, you can use them to build a solid wooden wall, funneling unsuspecting enemy units into a classic medieval killing zone. A classic Stronghold siege defense and the easiest means of customizing your castle with minimal resources, hoardings can also be attached to your castle walls, protecting everything from defensive ranged units and stat boosting generals, to merely troops stationed on your walls to deal with attackers coming up ladders and siege towers. Hoardings are another cheap and easy to build defense. Useful in the early game when you usually have a surplus of wood but lack the necessary stone to build towers, hoardings are a great option for protecting your precious archers. Hoardings can also be used to line your castle walls, creating corridors of protection for troops to run along and reposition should attacks suddenly come from a new direction. Another benefit is that hoardings will prevent enemy ladders from being placed on walls, thereby reducing the chances of a breach. This protection won't, however, extend to siege towers, which will destroy them when docking. So like the brave warriors of Minas Tirith, listen to Gandalf and take that siege tower out before it gets anywhere near your walls. So there you have it, 5 unique castle traps and defences coming to Stronghold Warlords at launch on September 29th. Man, feels good to be able to say a date. We focused heavily on gunpowder and a few defensive structures today, but rest assured that more traditional Stronghold series defences are also planned for launch. Today's video is just the first half of our castle defense reveals, with the second feature spotlight featuring our variety of towers, bastions, and the various flavors of defensive platform planned for later this year. If you're excited about the future of Stronghold or would just like to support our studio, please do head over to our page on Steam and wishlist Stronghold Warlords. Now we've revealed our release date for the game, this is the best way to get a reminder of that on September 29th, along with any extras and launch discounts. Your support really does mean the world to us, and we can't wait to get Warlords into your hands when it's ready later this year. As always, if you liked today's video, be sure to give us a like and subscribe to Firefly Studios on YouTube for more Stronghold Warlords and Romans Age of Caesar goodness every month.